Hi guys, I'm Kendall Hoeft and I am a life coach who empowers women to live fully, fierce, and free. If you're watching on YouTube right now, I invite you to subscribe to my channel for more videos. And of course, wherever you're watching from, you can always like and comment on this video. I love to interact with you. So, one of the big things I'm really into is being yourself. And I've always had people say, just be yourself, as though it were easy to be fully who you are. Hi Karen, hi Sadie. So why is it so difficult to be really yourself, to live in your full expression? I think a lot of it comes from childhood. We are put into these dysfunctional family roles. And so I'm going to go through some of these roles. But just for an example, I was kind of like the little parent. I was the oldest of 5. I still am the oldest of 5. And I was always put into this responsible role where I could never just play at the park. I always had to be watching out for Johnny and Susie and where are all the kids. And I always had to have the burden of being responsible at all times, even as a child. And, I didn't want to get in trouble, and it started to make me type A and really good rule follower. And you kind of get the vibe of this overachiever, perfectionist type. And it put me into that role now while I learned some cool life skills. Like, I can totally nail an academic paper and pretty much get any job I want as far as, putting together a package or portfolio or submission process. So while that's nice, do you have a degree in psychology? Your application to my manifesto classes. Thank you. I do not have a degree in psychology. However, I do love psychology. I love the study of people, social dynamics, interactions, family relationships. That really just intrigues me. So that's interesting you say psychology. I'm actually majoring in poetry right now and writing. And it's a grad program, and tons of the poetry students, their undergrad is in psychology, because as a writer, you need to understand the characters, right? And understand what's going on and why they tick and why they do what they do. Same thing with acting. And of course, as you probably know, my background is also in theater. So theater, psychology, writing, they all kind of get into the character of human emotion and the psyche. So that's cool. Yeah, I loved my college psych classes. Thanks for interacting. Yay! Fun to have questions. Okay. If you're watching on YouTube, this video was originally a Facebook Live video, so there's a little bit of interaction with live viewers. Hi, Austin. How are you? Okay, so the roles that you play. So while it's great to be responsible, if you feel like you can't let loose and you have to be uptight and responsible and type A all the time, and you have to stay in that role as though that role defines or limits or identifies your whole personality, well, that's where you get into the problem. And that's what happened with me, why I felt like I couldn't try something new or express myself too loudly in public or dance or do something where I might be judged. That was because I'm still trying to fulfill this role that I was assigned in my childhood. And I feel like my identity was sort of tied into continuing to be this responsible, perfect teacher's pet, goody two-shoes role. And that's pretty limiting in terms of being the fullness of who you are. So when we talk about really being all of who you are, not just the parts that you feel are societally accepted. Society would accept me to show up on time to a meeting. Society would accept for me to dress in my teachery professional way. But would society accept cornrows on a white woman? Would society accept purple hair? Would society accept, being 7 years older than your husband or 6 inches taller or, fill in the blank with your expression that's odd or that's different or whatnot. And this is where we get into self-judgment versus self-acceptance. And I think that the journey to truly being and becoming who you are, sorry, I just want to take a moment to celebrate my shirt. Dancing therapy! Yeah, it's my jam. So to really be and to become and to show up in the world as the fullness of who you are, we have to accept those parts of us that maybe society won't even accept. that some haters will pop up if they begin to see that honest aspect of who we are. But if we truly love and accept that childlike part inside, that's the first step. It really is. And if you know Jesus, if you know the Lord, knowing that you're accepted in God is really sweet. So if you don't just have the self to work with, you have this personal higher being that has created you. And so that is really an amazing aspect of the journey. If you know God, if you don't know God, I mean, you can always reach out to him, but you can also work with just self-acceptance as well. All right, so let me go through some of these crazy common dysfunctional roles that emerge in these families. And they are developed as part of a family system that allows the child to cope with stress in their family. And so it becomes a part of a child's identity. So one of these is the scapegoat. The parents may use the scapegoat child as someone to blame for the family's problems, which are actually caused by its dysfunctional nature, not by the child. That the child begins to believe that it's because of Johnny, stupid Johnny, or whatever. It's very sad. That's the scapegoat. Next is the lost child. The lost child is present in the family, but not present. Because there's already a lot of tension and conflict and maybe addiction or emotional issues going on in the family, the lost child says, well, I don't want to add any stress to the family. They've already got enough problems. They don't need to hear about mine. And so the poor lost child disappears into the background. I'm not going to make any waves. I'm not going to draw attention to myself. And the lost child is lost. Hi, Valentina. And so as you listen to these roles, I would like for you to think about yourself and think about which role maybe that you found yourself fitting into. Because each of these roles you can really look at and break down how, let's say you were the lost child. Well, I don't want to make any waves, right? How are you? What if your expression is singing and you want to be a musician or something? How are you going to create your art? How are you going to express it to the world if you're stuck in this place that tells you I can't make any waves? I just want to be the lost child and blend into the background. Do you see how sometimes this childhood identity, this role that you're placed into, is actually a block to being your full expression, to being everything that you were created to be? So we've got to access and understand what these dysfunctional family roles are so that we can break out of them and understand that we are more than that. That I don't have to be the lost, shy child anymore, that it's actually, I'm not in an environment where I have to survive. I'm not in an environment where it's like, worst case scenario, scarcity worm mentality. I actually can be, and I can change, and I can evolve, and I can grow, and I can step into a more full, abundant perspective of who I am. Whew, good stuff, guys. All right, another dysfunctional family role, the clown. The clown is the child who lessens the tension in the family by being funny or cute. So, a laugh is good for everybody, and so the clown child learns to make people laugh and help ease the tension with humor. And while this is also a great quality to have, when the child gets stuck in limited to just this role, he or she feels that even after childhood, they can only show up in the world as the clown. So they don't feel like, woman's going to take them seriously because they're just the clown, or they can't be serious about deep things because they're just the clown. They don't feel like they have value in a social situation other than when they're being humorous or making jokes. So do you see how that limits a person to not being able to be their full expression because they're stuck in this childhood dysfunctional family role? Which one are you? Start to thinking through this stuff. Here's another one. The placater or the fixer. He takes it upon himself to reduce family conflict by being the peacemaker, by smoothing things over. So he's the one that lays himself out in the puddle so that other people can walk over. And this is someone who, as they age and come into adulthood, if they don't work through this, they're the codependent. They're the doormat. They're the ones who they're just constantly kind of taking the responsibility upon themselves to adjust and fix people. And if people don't want to be fixed or controlled or changed or adjusted, which many of us don't, they get offended and they get hurt and they can't be comfortable with someone else's life choices. They really feel like, well, such and such is making a bad decision, it's my fault, or and they can't let it go, don't let it hold you back anymore, let it go, turn around and slam the door, no, I don't know the words. Gotta have a little musical theater breakout moment. And water to follow. All right, guys, let's get into the next role. The hero. This was one of the roles that I played in childhood. The hero attempts to make the family look better by achieving success. The hero seems to be a positive role. However, it becomes exhausting and it does not leave the individual much room to be human. So if you are stuck in the hero role, this is a role that I took into adulthood. It's on me to inspire. It's on me to be the example. Too much pressure. It was for me. I don't want to judge anybody else's story, but for me to kind of have to live on this pedestal lifestyle where, I can't say a cuss word, or I can't go to a movie, or I can't watch the Kardashians, or I can't YOLO and do my thing and live my life and grow and expand in my own journey and in my process, because younger girls are always looking up to you and it's your responsibility to carry this weight and this burden as though I'm responsible for their life, as though if I take a sip of beer, like, oh no, little Jenny will become an alcoholic because she saw you do it, Kendall, and she looks up to you and you've got to be this moral perfectionist. And guys, like, that is not healthy and I reject that from my life. But that is the way that I was raised. That is the role that I was placed into. That was how I managed my life, my stress. That is how I, in some ways, received positive affirmation. I received positive feedback by always being responsible, always being on time, always being perfect. And I got criticism when I made mistakes and when I was human and when I was imperfect. I got lectures, I got blame, I got stern, talking tos. You should have known better. I thought you double checked it. It was just very harsh and strict. And so I learned to survive my childhood by being a perfectionist badass, and I say badass, but it's not, it's sad. It's like, to me, what's badass is loving yourself enough to accept yourself. And that means accepting imperfection. That means accepting yourself right freaking now, right where you are right now. Not in 10 years when you have life settled and when you've arrived and when you have your 2.5 kids and all that, which, by the way, you'll never have your life settled. You're never going to find happiness from an outside source. You're only going to find it from a deep-rooted sense of self-love, acceptance, and celebration of all of who you are, every aspect of who you are. Woo! All right, let's get to the next role. You know what? I might need to make a double video of this because lately I've been making these videos a little too long for YouTube. And so I think I'm going to go ahead and make a second video. And so we're going to do part 2 of the dysfunctional family roles and an understanding of why is it so darn hard to be myself. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kendall Hoeft. I am an empowerment coach who helps women to live fully, fierce, and free. Thanks for watching.